I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Old Saybrook Police Commission to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to our regular agenda, I invite a motion to amend the agenda so that we can deal with our meeting schedule for 2025. That's something we're supposed to do at this meeting. Despite our faithful secretary's reminder to me, I omitted to include it in the agenda. So I invite that motion.
And I'll move that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Whereabouts do you want to put it?
I would put it after comments from the public. No, after the meeting minutes.
You might want to do it after my reports as I talk about a special budget schedule at the request of the Board of Finance. Which could impact
That makes sense.
your calendar. Oh, that's okay.
So where is it gonna go?
It'll
Yeah,
go
maybe-
after item 5, executive reports.
Okay.
I'll begin with comments from the public. Do we have any in the live audience? Larry, if anyone in the virtual audience would raise their hand, please do so now. Larry?
No hands raised.
All right, let's move to the meeting minutes for the October 28 meeting. I invite a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussions, questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or opposed? Unanimous. Correspondence, I have nothing to report that I haven't distributed.
I just wanted to make mention of the Officer Mora comment. I thought that was a very nice thing. Once in a while, we do get nice comments. And I just wanted to note it that the gentleman who sent it in had suggested that he was very professional and very helpful.
Is
So,
it possible to read that?
Just, so you know, our practice when we get nice notes or emails is they're distributed to everyone in the department. So everyone can see the positive comments that are coming in about their peer, which inspires them, I believe, to go out and
yeah,
do the job in the right way to get positive comments about
But it
themselves. So
was
that's
nice.
been a long-standing practice.
When he asked for it to go on his file, do you put it on the file?
So there's not actually a spot in a legal personnel file for these things, but we stick them in a communications file. So if anyone ever asks for those types of things, they would see them.
You had requested that it be read.
Yes, please.
Do you have it?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to provide a brief email about my interaction last night with Officer Mora. I was pulled over and it was determined that my registration was expired. Officer Mora was incredibly professional, very helpful, very polite, and is a great asset to your department. And that's pretty much the sum of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there's no other correspondence, so let's move to item 5, executive reports. Chief, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Our Thanksgiving Eve commission meeting here. So executive reports, the fiscal year 25 operating budget. Everything looks to be in check. The only thing that I would like to mention to the commission is that you will start to see, sounds negative, but I'll use the word a little disparaging, in the professional development personnel items on both the field services side, the sworn side of the house, and the support services side, the civilian side of the house, because we've been training our new folks. And so we have new dispatchers that went through training. Every single ounce of time that they spend doing that comes out of the professional development line item. You'll hear shortly from some of our folks that have graduated from field training. And much of their time is associated to professional development. So that'll seem to be off balance, but again, the entire budget itself will be running black. It's just how we compartmentalize the expenditures right now.
So then likewise, would you consider the extra personnel to be the same kind of thing? That eventually that will back off a little bit
Absolutely.
when you have more people in the field?
Correct. Once the shifts are filled and everyone on training becomes personnel assets, we'll see less shift coverage attributed to that category, extra personnel. Yep, absolutely. So in theory, as we enter into fiscal year 26, which I can segue into, we should see, as long as we maintain the current level of staffing, we should see less of an impact on extra personnel for backfilling shifts that are vacant due to vacancies. Okay,
Any
go on.
questions on the operating budget? Okay,
Great. So I can't believe we're already talking about this, but the fiscal 26 budget process. So the finance director has already been in touch with me, has given me some draft Excel spreadsheets to start working off of. But the most important thing to you is the Board of Finance is interested in doing a joint presentation the first week in January. So I thought it would be important, Mr. Chairman, if you would allow us to set our budget schedule for the commission to make sure that we do get to meet with the Board of Finance in a joint session, hopefully with the Board of Selectmen as well, during the first week or maybe the beginning of the second week of January, remembering that your budget has to be in by the 15th. So typically we do that joint presentation, then we schedule 2 or 3 meetings for the commission. And then hopefully at one of those meetings, either the second or the third, you adopt a budget.
one of the things that I would like to see is the draft budget earlier in December than has been the practice. Typically, we've had it just a couple of days before that first meeting. I know so much of it is fixed, so much of it is collective bargaining agreement determined, and things that none of us can really affect. We all need heat, we all need gas, we all need electricity. But still, I think it would be good if you could perhaps get that to us a week earlier than has been the custom.
Sure, so maybe if I get it to you before Christmas rather than after Christmas this year, we'll do that. The things that we're looking at, so the police contract settled, right? Thank God. So we know all those figures. The dispatch contract is up for negotiation in January, so we will not have those figures. So we'll make whatever estimate the first selectman wants us to make. The big driving force in our budget sometimes is the personnel benefits. And I'm not sure we will have the precise insurance either increase, I could be optimistic and say decrease, but the insurance premium increase for the year fine-tuned. So you might get an artificially high number just to be able to deliver you a complete budget that hopefully through the process will come down.
Sure. Understood. Thank you.
So
We have a meeting anywhere but this room, because I don't need to be.
Yeah, so
Popping on my back.
here's what I was thinking. I mean, our training room at the police department is a little wider than this and might be able to accommodate. It's a public meeting. And obviously to go into the police department, you do have to go through a metal detector for obvious reasons. So we could try to host that meeting. I think the pavilion is just as tight as this when you put 3 boards in it. I think the library room is just as narrow, but if anyone has any suggestions, I mean, I'm comfortable presenting anywhere.
Middle school auditorium.
I don't know if that's too big of a venue. I mean, because I guess my concern there is having the various boards be able to collaborate with each other. If everyone's like in stadium seating, I'm not really sure what a collaborative setting that is.
The training room has the ability to do it online, publish it.
I bet between
I don't
Larry and Sergeant Gardner. we
I
can do that.
really don't like the idea of having that joint meeting in the police building. I think it's much better to have it in a town hall.
What about at the middle school gym?
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to, there's what about the all-purpose room? Where the faculty meetings are, where I do the opening school faculty meeting. I wonder if that's,
Try there.
A
The
little
gym
bit
might
bigger.
be a little bit bigger.
The pavilion does have a bathroom though, right there. so that, you know,
For all to
for
hear.
all
while
to
you
hear,
present.
exactly.
Just a suggestion, there is the all-purpose room that connects to the CAF or the,
The all-purpose room would be that. We can set chairs up for each, body in the public.
or the gym, where they
Or
host.
we could even mingle.
I don't know, those are just my thoughts. like
What would
thinking
you,
of
what would you guys prefer?
In terms of the schedule,
Well, first, we need a schedule
And
and
a meeting.
seems to be location is,
Well, this room is just tight.
It is
We're on
tight, I
top of
agree.
Each other, and
I agree.
last year somebody coughed all over me the whole entire time, so, and then I missed one of the meetings, had to Zoom it, so I'd opt not for that.
Chuck, you can expand on why you wouldn't want to have it on the.
I just think it's the wrong message. I think that meeting of the public agencies ought to be in a public meeting space, not within the police department.
The middle school will accommodate the parking as well,
yeah, let me look at that.
and that could be here, like we experienced tonight.
Okay.
The middle school might be just a nice alternative.
Then in terms of schedule, chief,
Yes,
what is the window that the Board of Finance has suggested?
well, Leanne said first week of January, but I don't see that possible because January 1st is a Wednesday. And I'm not so sure Thursday will be the opportune time.
I don't think
January
there's much
2nd.
enthusiasm for
To-
that.
do
that's too close to-
So I'm wondering if we could meet, Tuesday is their normal meeting night. I wonder if we do January 7th.
I think that is a good candidate.
And then maybe the commission could meet, I don't know if you want to meet the very next day. Normally you ask to digest it a little bit, but if you want to do that, you could either have your first meeting on the 8th or the 9th.
I would
The
suggest
ninth.
the 9th.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we do,
We could tentatively pencil these in and then,
we do the 7th as the joint meeting,
yeah,
the 9th as your first meeting.
First PC meeting.
Yeah.
And then perhaps the 16th.
Can't do that because the budget's due by the 15th. So you'll have to do 13 and 14.
so that's the following week then.
Yeah, because by the 15th by charter, we have to give it to the first selectman.
Tuesday doesn't work for me on the 14th, and I know everyone will miss me, so can we do the 13th?
Yeah, we should do the 13th.
If not, I'll
In
check.
previous years, you've been able to do
Do
it
it
tonight.
tonight, the second meeting.
But do you want to just schedule a meeting on the 15th, just in case? I mean, that would,
I don't think we'll need it.
okay. So 7th for the joint meeting,
9th for the commission's first meeting, 13th for the commission's second meeting.
okay.
I think that'll cover us. Is everyone
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
I'm okay. And the only thing is if we don't finish up, which I find doubtful, we can then maybe throw another.
We can
date
have a
out
special
there.
meeting.
Yes, right.
Let me give you a spoiler. No new personnel, no new programs.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure every commission member is comfortable
Yes, understood.
and has all questions asked and answered.
There'll be nothing earth shattering.
We stay until it's done.
Yes, there you go. I like that.
And then possibly, is the schedule, like, the calendar for next year basically the same day? So it'd be the 20th would be their meeting, is that what you're possibly thinking? I'm just trying to.
On that
Whole month.
calendar,
Yeah,
27th,
27th, that would be.
it's 2027.
oh, okay, oh, they got the 7th, I mean, 4th,
Yeah, it's the fourth month.
right, 4th.
There are no other questions on that. Let's move to the off-budget accounts.
Great. You have the reports as normal. We did take off the one account that you wanted us to take off, so it's gone. But if anyone has any questions, I can certainly.
Well,
Answer
there's
them, or-
only one thing that I have, which is just a very minor thing, probably just a mistake of some sort. The police admin, the two deposits there were done in red.
Oh, yeah.
And they should do that.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. In the, on our October emergency dispatch account, some things start like March of 23rd, 23 and goes to June of 23, but in our November, it starts June of 23. So are there cutoff times that roll over?
So the I don't know if I totally understand your question, because I'm skimming it right now to see if I can figure that out. So you're saying there's a report for November 2023, but nothing for December, and then right into January?
No, when we start like in our October meeting, it starts like, the first line item begins March 31st, but in this line item, the first line item starts June 26th. So do some line items just fall off?
I mean, move it up. She's talking about, so like right here, she's saying last month it was March, we move it up. because-
Oh, we move it up, because
So
it's
you
a
do-
constant, yes, constant roll.
Pages.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
constant
that's what I
roll.
was wondering.
It doesn't go away, it's still there, but.
We just only
Just
print you
collapse
what
it.
you want to see.
Right, yeah.
We could print you the entire
Oh,
history of
no,
town hall.
I'm
print the
just,
entire history.
wasn't
But yes. it's
familiar,
a-
so I wanted to clarify the question.
Got it.
So thank you.
Got it.
Any other?
I have another question.
Okay.
For the AT&T contract, is that a contract, that you have with the town, or is your contract separate? with
What are you
AT&T?
looking at?
The AT&T, like the cell phone contract?
Oh, you just asked me a generic
Yeah.
question? That's our department's contract. It's a government contract.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't go out to bid or anything. There's a government plan. The FirstNet network is a government plan that we subscribe to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's it, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Chief, personnel matters.
Nothing to report other than what we're gonna review in executive session, which is all positive things. Going on to professional development, I just want to report that we are taking advantage of some virtual training, which has seemed to be attractive to our personnel. So over the past month, there are 2 virtual post-endorsed where we get post credits for 2-hour sessions. One was on body worn cameras, the state of Connecticut update, and also the state of Connecticut update on immigration laws. And what this allows us to do is have our personnel participate at home. So if they're on a day off and we need them to participate in this professional development experience, they don't have to leave their house, come all the way in, get in their uniform, drive to a class, or sit in the building and do something. They can do so remotely. So it helps with that, work-life balance a little bit. We still get the professional development that we want our personnel to have. And they get to do it in a little bit more relaxed atmosphere. So it turns out to be a win-win. So we're going to continue to do that as often as possible. Coming up the week of the 9th, we have the firearms trailer coming to the department again, once again, to do some of our qualifications.
That will not be done remotely.
That will not be done remotely, Chuck. No, that is correct. The commission has in the past, you folks were invited to our less lethal training. If I believe, yes, Joe, we'll leave it at that. Some of you were invited and participated in our less lethal training inside our training room. Once we have the schedule completely ironed out, we have a draft schedule out to our personnel, but I'll let you folks know if there's any openings to see if any of you would like to come by and watch some of the live fire training in the, so the week of the 9th. So I'm assuming more towards the end of the week, maybe like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday scenario. And I envision you being able to stop by, put on your earphones, and stand in the back of the trailer and maybe watch some of the instruction go on. It's very, very serious training. So it's not a laughing, joking event like some of you may have had during the previous experience. But we'll certainly welcome that up to you so you can see how your officers train.
And I can say the adrenaline flows.
Yes, you have seen that, and it does. Other than that, you have the department's activity report, and if there's any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to.
That look of a pattern.
One question I have about it.
Sure.
What is the process for locations if they're having multiple alarms go off? And that actually came up in the strategic planning. Someone had made a comment about that. So I was curious to know if we had anything in place.
So some towns have an ordinance where if the fire department or the police department responds to a false alarm X number of times, the homeowner actually gets fined. We do not have that ordinance in Old Saybrook, and quite frankly, I don't support it. When we have a problem alarm, we work with the owner, right? We work with the business or we work with the homeowner to get things rectified. If you have a problem with your alarm at your house tonight, it goes off 3 times and you see the cop 3 times, but you fix it tomorrow morning, I don't think you should be penalized. It's not your fault your alarm went, nutty on you. So I don't think it happens as much as perhaps some may think. I think maybe if you're a police officer and you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the alarm went off 3 days in a row, then you had your days off and you came back and it was fixed. Maybe for that 3rd day you got annoyed. But I don't see it as a tremendous problem. And when it is, we work directly with the owners to mitigate that.
Good approach.
Thank you.
Okay. Holiday program.
Yes, so I'm very happy to report. The Give the Cops the Bird initiative this weekend was extremely successful. 657 turkeys. That's a lot of turkeys. And we collected $7,649.48 in monetary donations, and obviously tons and tons of food. When we do these types of activities, it's very interesting from a CEO's point of view to watch the community response to the group who's doing the solicitation. And every single time we do this, Old Saybrook is extremely generous. We thank them very, very much, but it shows the connection. Our team had such positive interactions with people coming in and out of Stop and Shop all weekend long. I mean, real sincere, positive interactions. And I think if our community disliked its police department, I don't think we'd be seeing that as often as we did, or people coming up with entire carriages and just saying, here you go, officers, thank you for what you do, stay safe. That was really the common thread of the message all weekend long. So we thank them very much. Distribution happens tomorrow and Wednesday with Youth and Family Services at the police department. So that'll be from 2 to 6:30 each day. And it's a no question asked, and it's an empowering experience. So when we first started this more than a decade ago, we decided we were not giving someone a bag of stuff and saying, this is your Thanksgiving. So we set up our own little Thanksgiving mini mart in the side lot of the police department. There's shopping carriages and people go through and they take what their family wants and needs and would enjoy on a holiday. So we're looking forward to doing that. Special shout out to Patrol Sergeant Phil Ciccone, who coordinated the Give the Cops the Bird campaign once again this year. He does a fantastic job leading that and organizing that. Huge response, by the way, from our staff in staffing it. So, last meeting I was talking to the commission how things are really getting great in the police department again. We had that rebuilding year, and the team that we have now is a tight-knit group. They're there, they show up, they want to get involved, they want to work with the community. It's great to see. And so right after we close our Thanksgiving mini mart, have some stuffing, we're right into our Make a Child's Wish Come True campaign. Patrolman Sarah Salino is going to be our head elf this year. So she's going to be working with Youth and Family Services to coordinate our toy drive. Toy collection is at Walmart and also at the police department. And we try to get a bin each year at Stop and Shop and Big Y for people just to dump some toys in. But that's always tremendously successful. Youth and Family Services interacts with the families who might need some assistance this year. And then based off of that anonymous list, we'll package together all of the toys that we collect and have them ready for families to pick up at the police department. So, it's another example of how the police department is part of the fabric of the community. If people are willing to come to our police department to accept these items, it's just another example of how people are not afraid of the police, which is a very, very positive sentiment that we see year after year. So great job to my staff on collecting the turkeys and stuffing and cranberry sauce, and me explaining to them why the label on the cranberry sauce is upside down, even though it's not. And then getting right into to toy season. We're looking to have a great time. We are working together to figure out how expansive our open house will be this year, whether that's going to be confined this year to visits to Santa, or if we'll be doing the full-fledged tours again. That'll be based on personnel availability, and that'll happen on the day of the torchlight. So once I have hours set for that, I'll make sure that you folks get the flyer. And once we have our flyers out for the toy drive, I'll disseminate those just like we did for the Give the Cops the Bird. Just to put it on the formal record, the commission did receive the calendars, the special event calendars for the remainder of this year, and then our draft calendar for 2025. I appreciate the feedback, that is exactly what you were looking for.
Thank you.
So glad to check that box and get that back to you.
In regards to the calendar, the old Saybrook site went up.
Yes,
And
Yep. I talked with
Yep.
Jennifer, and we're gonna submit lots of stuff to that.
yeah, so you can see that, they're working with the police department this weekend or whatever it is,
That's great.
give a couple birds.
And the school's always great with sending
Yeah.
stuff out, and we did if you got a pizza or Chinese takeout on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of last week, our flyer was attached to whatever you brought home. And that's always a great way of advertising. Larry's always great about getting it up on the electronic signboards, and again, the schools, and then some of our social media friends, send it out. So it's a good thing, it works well, clearly it worked.
You could tell Stop and Shop, there were so many people, a lot of people.
And what's interesting, sometimes people come from the different grocery stores in the area to Stop and Shop to see us, to give us their turkey, canned goods, or monetary donation. So even though we're positioned at Stop and Shop, it's not 100% go in, Stop and Shop, buy it, bring it. People just come to us with their canned goods, or, there was lots of big white turkeys, which I'm positive Stop and Shop doesn't sell. So it was a great community response. So again, thank you to everyone involved.
All right. Let's move on to the amended agenda item. Jill has prepared a calendar with our regular fourth Monday meetings for the months of January, February, March, April, June, July, August, October, and November. We would be third Mondays for the months of May due to Memorial Day, September due to Rosh Hashanah, and December due to Christmas week.
Right.
I invite a motion to approve that calendar.
I'll make that motion, but I'm going to read the dates off.
Yes, thank you.
Jen.
Same time, same.
Same time, same place,
Okay.
with the exception of those third weeks, we have to figure out a room.
So we will, mind if I say something? So when you're done with this, we'll do, I think normally we do this in December, so fine, we're a little early. We will send a memo to the town clerk advising her, and then we'll also send a memo to Georgianne, so she can go ahead and place that in the room reservation calendar.
You can send that to us, right?
I'm gonna read them right now for Jen.
We can send you a copy of the memo that goes to the town clerk if you want.
That'd be actually
Yeah, no
very good. So I'm gonna make that motion for the meeting schedule to be as follows: January 27th, February 24th, March 24th, April 28th, May 19th, June 23rd, July 28th, August 25th, September 15th, October 27th, November 24th, and December 15th. Anybody second?
Yes, Renee. Any questions, discussions, comments?
Well, one quick question, sorry, the September 15th, we're not doing it on the 22nd because it doesn't say it's Rosh Hashanah.
It does, when you look it up online, it's that evening is Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, okay.
I know, I had the same reaction to that, yes,
Still at 6:30, correct?
correct.
If there are no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Item 6, discussion and possible action concerning employee recommendations from the department's 2024 strategic planning session. This was your suggestion, Jill, so why don't you lead?
Okay, I wanted to thank you for sharing this with us. I had poured through it and found some observations that I thought were very interesting to note. The format was different than previous years, which I think lent itself to having opportunities for some very excellent feedback from personnel.
Agreed.
And some of them drilled down to very specific needs and suggestions for improvement. The thoughts and comments were thoughtful and impressive, and there was an interest in improving themselves and the entire department. So I was just really very impressed with all of the things that were in here. And I think for the commission specifically, there's a couple of things. It's important that the members of the department feel heard by us and feel supported. So, and this also, there's implications for budget for us, for some of the things that are in here, specifically the equipment. There were different equipment needs that were left here that, you know, things like FDA approved blood pressure cuffs, pulse, you know, things like that. You know, to be decided on whether or not those would be funded within our budget or not. But there was also something that I noticed throughout this document, which was basically IT, the infrastructure. The comments that came about the computers were slow, that they were slow, that sometimes they needed a refresh, they didn't load quickly enough. And then some of the keys on them were in disrepair. So I just thought that it was important for us to have the discussion about it here and just point out that we saw these things. And sometimes, you know, updates to software, the infrastructure on the older pieces of equipment can't handle it anymore. So I was also curious to know if we were going to be looking at those kinds of things in a capital improvement plan.
Sure, so first of all, thank you. I think it's very important that the commission acknowledges the tremendous and honest work that our department does. I believe that we're probably one of the very few agencies in the state of Connecticut that does department-wide annual strategic planning, internal strategic planning. And so, you know, for folks to understand this, it's the entire department, whether you're a patrol sergeant, a patrolman, the animal control officer, or executive assistant, everybody has an equal voice that day. And this is done annually to chart our course for the next year or next 5 years. And so some of the things that have come out of strategic planning that this commission has endorsed and budgeted, switching our cars from the Ford Interceptors to the Chevy Tahoes, solely from strategic planning. Switching from PAMIT to our current records management system, NextGen, solely from strategic planning. The fact that our officers can wear outer carriers, something I was never a fan of, came out of strategic planning. It was a need and a want. I also want to point out that sometimes when the needs and wants come from our personnel, it's my job sometimes to figure out how to do that within the confines of our current budget, right? And so sometimes we change priorities or we change direction. So with respect for information technology, we purchased 23 brand new desktop units that are slowly being rolled out. And that was discussed that day. So some of the things that you see written, I was able to respond to in real time to the department. So 5, 6 tables, everyone talks, they all report back. And as they report back, I get to say, great idea, we're doing that tomorrow. Or it's already done, let me tell you what we're doing, which it makes a really nice, you know, back and flow communication. One of the things that you probably saw on the list is a desire to have some sort of scheduling software type program.
Online.
So I promised them that day that we would create a subcommittee to look into that. We have a subcommittee. Charlie's actually on the subcommittee. We've had our first meeting, our second meeting scheduled on Wednesday, where we're looking at different software platforms to see what's a good fit for us. And then I have to look at cost. And if it's going to cost more than what we budget, that's when I would do a proposal to you, either on the side or as part of our fiscal year 26 budget proposal. But it is a very, very powerful day back and forth. And when you have a team that's not afraid to share their opinion and to be honest to the leader standing at the head of the room, it yields success. And that's what we're
I
saying.
got a question for you. One of the things that jumped out at me was the outdated vest.
Yeah, so
That shocked me. I mean, I didn't know they had a date.
they have a date and no one has an outdated vest. So everyone has a current vest now. So they were trickling in, and as they came in, it was handled. So some of the things that folks write again are either addressed already, announced that day. You know, some of the things I know I'm going to get feedback on, so I get to comment on it, right away. And then some things are new initiatives, like the scheduling committee. There was an issue where folks said they didn't have the right winter gloves. Who knew? So we got a size run. People are trying on gloves, we're ordering winter gloves. So it's a very dynamic session, but it's so important that you're acknowledging it. So thank you for doing that.
I noted another theme that you can comment on either now or later, and probably would be useful for the force as well as for the commission. There were more than a few questions about the need for reports on what some view as less important matters. I can see that there might be a couple of different schools of thought.
Yeah, so, sometimes, and we've talked about this at length, sometimes as the police chief, I make rules or policies or issue directives that maybe not everyone enjoys, agrees with, or understands. And so there are times in Old Saybrook where we do very non-traditional law enforcement services for individuals. And some of our officers might think that they should not have to do a 3 or 4 sentence report for that. But the school of thought is, number one, it's very important to document everything we do, right? Let me give you a scenario. Elderly person calls the department 3 o'clock in the morning. Their toilet's running nonstop. And the police officer goes in, jiggles the handle and stops it. We would write a quick report on that. Mrs. McGillicuddy called us, we went in the house. She pointed out the issue. This is what we did. We advised her to call plumbing in the morning. No leaks, no nothing, but she's all set. While we're there, we do a little welfare check, right? Are they okay? Do they have enough food? Is the heat on? If the heat should be on, all good stuff. The next morning after that midnight police officer is long gone and hopefully sleeping, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that person's son or daughter calls that maybe lives in another state. Hey, this might sound crazy, but my mom or my dad said there was a police officer in her house last night at 3 a.m. We call up the report. Oh, yes, here's what happened. She called. This is what we did. That's important. Secondly, when we have to write a big report, a report for a serious criminal incident where we're making an arrest or we're applying for a search warrant, all those smaller reports that we write are practice for the bigger ones. And so our state's attorney has actually credited us, actually the day of our strategic planning, we invited him down. He came in and one of the first things he said to everybody is, this department writes good reports. And I believe that's because we write reports for almost everything. And that gives us a good basis for how to write reports. And that's all explained. And you'll notice some of the comments from folks actually wrote down, I didn't understand before, but now I do. And so part of that day is if you don't understand why we do certain things, they can ask me, you saw the categories, and I will explain to them why we're doing what we're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second thing I noticed was, and this picks up somewhat on the scheduling online or real time. There was concern about whether sergeants could do shift swaps and whether you could delegate to sergeants or perhaps lieutenants when we have the lieutenants on board some of the duties that you assume for your, take care of yourself right now. Is that something that was discussed and you gave them?
Absolutely. So first of all, in the new collective bargaining agreement for the police officers, there are no shift swaps anymore. So that was one of the proposals that the town asked for, and the union agreed. And the philosophy behind that, and you folks were on the thing, is that if employees can constantly swap shifts, they're never using their vacation time. And then come June, they have a lot of vacation time to use. And they might be put in a position where that might not be approved. So it's not good operationally, it's not good morale-wise for the officers. So there are no swaps for sergeants to approve because they're not allowed. Secondly, sergeants currently do all of the private duty scheduling, and they do all of the shift filling scheduling. So if someone calls out sick or someone needs a last minute vacation time, I delegate that authority to the sergeant. So much so, again, you two remember this, there's now a new provision in the collective bargaining agreement that if a sergeant makes a mistake in doing so, the union cannot grieve the town of Old Saybrook about that mistake because it was done by a fellow bargaining unit member. And so sometimes people say stuff and then you give them the facts and they're like, oh yeah, okay, let's move on. But we don't take it off the list because it's important to memorialize that at that time, at that moment, that was someone's feelings, right? And every ounce of their voice matters.
Thank you.
And thanks for sending the PDF because I blew it right up and it was very easy to read because I couldn't read what was given to us. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem at all.
I have a question. Could you explain Star Chase?
Yeah, so Star Chase is a very unique product. So Star Chase is a very large dart. Imagine a big can looking type dart that goes in the grill of a police vehicle. And if you're chasing somebody and you have to terminate the pursuit, you can push a button inside your car that launches this dart that has a very high intensity, sticky type substance that will stick to the offending vehicle. And you can stop following it and it drives away and you open up your laptop and you see where it goes and where it ends up.
Oh, rope doesn't come out, you can just.
You can't tow it back. And so back in 2021, in fact, I see Rick Swan here, that he actually sent me an email when he was on the Board of Finance about this, but back in 2021, and I told him, hey, I already got an estimate. It was $4,750 for each car. Now, my concern is, and some agencies are using this, my concern is you have to get close to hit the button to fire out the dart. And so there's lots of training involved and, you know, there's a level of danger because I think you're trying to catch up to the car to deploy it and then you can back off. So cost-wise, I don't think it's for us. And I think we do pretty well with a lot of our stolen vehicles after they're recovered through DNA swabbing. We're making a lot of arrests after search warrants for DNA. And then obviously following up with an arrest warrant. So I wouldn't support the expense right now.
Okay.
I can freshen up that quote for you to see how much it would cost,
I
but
just noticed it came up with.
yeah, if you go online and Google it and watch the video, you're like, this is cool. I'm just not sure that if I did a cost benefit analysis, it would make sense.
Or that it would make sense to accelerate.
Yeah, or if the deer jumped out right when you hit the button, that the deer instead of.
It would stick right shit.
It would.
Well, we would know where the deer went. But yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're very welcome. Thank you for asking.
Any other questions or comments?
I just had one about I noticed not a lot, there was just a couple about the cars and SUVs. Cleanliness, I don't know, what's going on with that?
Well, cleanliness, we talked about that. So I asked who else was driving the police cars other than the police officers. And it turns out no one. So it's good for us to keep our own cars clean, right? So sometimes you have to look at your very dedicated employees and say, we're our own problem here. So if you don't want coffee cups left in the police car,
Take them out.
don't leave them in the police car. And then there is some conversation about when we're gonna flip the fleet again. So we actually had an entire conversation that wasn't reflected in your packet, just on vehicle type. Like, do you like the Tahoes? They seem to be maintenance disasters, but everyone likes the safety of being higher. Everyone likes them a little bit bigger for all the equipment that we carry, but the maintenance on these is just incredible. So we had good conversations about that. Some officers said, why can't we get some Fords and some Chevys? Why does it have to be uniform? And then some of our road job cars are definitely seeing better days. So we're getting close to, that time to flip the fleet again, whether that's a fiscal year 26 or a fiscal year 27 type project. I'll analyze that closely before I do
The target was 5 years, wasn't it?
Target was, 4 to 5 years, but if we're seeing our second years, for example, the Goodwin School SRO car, she lost a chunk of metal on her roof and there's duct tape covering it.
But those were the older vehicles,
Those are the
right?
older
Yeah.
vehicles, right? But how did those become the older vehicles? The frontline vehicles go down. So we just have to take a look and make sure that our fleet, both of them, stay healthy. And then it's my responsibility to come to you and say, hey, I think it's time.
When did we actually get them in service though? Remember what a project?
Yeah, they
that
sat
was?
for a year. They sat for a year waiting for equipment. Yep.
And those engines are taking time bombs, so
They
or for
are,
a different engine package.
in fact, ticking time bombs. We have
Yep.
gone through more water pumps
Mhm.
and alternators, and the brakes are just
Awful.
awful on them.
No wonder nobody wants to complain. They're just- they're done.
That's not good news.
Yeah.
It's not good, so, but we'll have to look, into that, and then I can report back on, what a recommendation would be.
Thank you. This was good conversation.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it.
We might have a conversation later about warranties.
Yeah, so we have, we have warranties on them, but they go away after you hit a, certain mileage mark. So we argue very well. to
It's
get
not just a
some
problem on
things.
the Tahoes for police cars, it's a problem across the board
With Tahoes in general?
with a certain engine that they have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think just food for thought that maybe when you do flip it again, that you order that's RL cars, like they get their own, like, or it could be different,
That-
anything.
That could be, so we could decide to, lease purchase more than what we normally do and just flip all that stuff. It's very, very possible, like a less expensive version.
Well, or, I mean, they last longer because they're SR cars, they don't go that far, but instead of, flipping their fleet every single 5 years, they could just get.
You don't wanna get
one
one in
that's
your
10.
car, just let it sit.
Oh, well, like, it's running all day. Is it running all day?
No. No.
I can take it for a ride or two.
But thank you for.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Chief. Let's move to item 7, comments from the public. Are there any members of the live audience who want to comment? Yes, sir.
Tom Stevenson, old favorite. Just that when the commissioners talk softly, it's more difficult to hear back here. So other than sitting in the front row, that when you're addressing each other, if you could speak louder so we can all hear what's being said, that'd be appreciated. Thank you. I can hear the chief all the time.
Thank you, Sergeant.
If there is anyone in the virtual audience wishing to comment, please raise your hand. Larry?
No hands are raised.
All right. Let's move on to items 8 through 10. I suggest that we just go into executive session one time.
Thank you.
The invitees would be the chief, and for item 9, the patrol officers involved.
What we'll do is we'll record them like we do applicants, almost coming in and out.
Yes.
So for the sake of the motion, you can just include me, and then we'll invite people in as the commission deems necessary.
That's fine.
It's easier for Jeff.
I invite a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters pertaining to collective bargaining, to discuss matters pertaining to the employment of patrol officers, and to discuss matters pertaining to the employment of the chief of police. And just so that there is not an expectation of grand things here in that last category, chief, would you give us a heads up?
Yeah, it's a very minor thing that I need to discuss with the commission, that with respect to my contract, it's just a contractual obligation. I have to speak with you about something. It's nothing grandiose, so I apologize to the folks from Channel 8, but a lot of B-roll for not a lot of good stuff tonight.
I have a question. I noticed you have some of the officers.
Yeah, they're gonna come in executive session.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I make the motion to go in executive session.
And if you could just
Did you
invite
have
me,
a
that'd be
question?
great.
I was just gonna say so. Yes, he said that.
Is there a second?
So I'll second it, but it's also inviting.
It's just all day.
Invite the chief, sorry about that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We are out of executive session and back to our agenda. Item 11, comments from the chief of police. Chief, any comments?
No, just want to praise the personnel for doing an excellent job over the past month, and we're looking forward to the holiday season where we really get to positively interact with the community. And that starts tomorrow at 2:00 as we hand out turkeys and all the stuff we collected.
Comments from commissioners. Mark?
All set.
I was at Stop and Shop and you were absolutely right. Everybody was very engaging and there were many officers there.
James, a lot of members there too.
Did you give the birds?
I gave other things.
Okay.
I did go to Stop and Shop. I loved that experience. It was very heartwarming and it's really great what you do for the town and our citizens.
Team, yeah,
Thank
thank you.
I have no comments.
Carl?
Oh, my wife was there. She gave a couple of birds to me,
Excellent.
so, but anyway, she praised the event.
Yeah,
So,
it's great.
Jessica?
I was just gonna say, good job. Great, thank you.
And nothing from me.
I have one more question. In the beginning, when we have our meeting, is it possible that, I know some boards do like a roll call of commissioners? I think we talked about that once,
Doing like,
the attendance.
the attendance that
Yeah.
way.
I think it's always indicated in the minutes who's
It
present.
is, but I just think sometimes, somebody in the audience, I don't know,
We could do that.
that's good, okay.
Or you could introduce yourselves. Instead of like doing here, you could go around if there's an audience and introduce yourself so people know who you are.
Yeah, and just state, like, some people may know us, but they may not know who's the vice chair.
Yeah, or
or
what their
secretary.
position is.
Yeah. So I
I don't think that's a bad idea, to introduce yourself.
think-
We'll implement that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I invite a motion to adjourn.
So
Third.
And is there a second?
Second.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Good meeting tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.